Site's 220 acres, and we're going to landfill around 110 or 115 acres of that. We have 60 to 70 acres of cut grass. And a soccer field up here for the neighborhood soccer team to play on, which the concerned citizens asked for last summer, so we built a soccer field. The county purchased this property with the thought of establishing a central landfill, knowing full well that with restructuring, we couldn't maintain 5 outlying sites. And from then on, it was all downhill. The public opposition was very great. They dragged us through every court. We had one of the longest, most continuous public hearings, 67 days of continuous hearing in relation to the opening of the site. And approval was finally given. The neighbors were very bitter. The public was very bitter. That was just while we were building it. We hadn't even started operations. They had a public liaison committee, which used to meet, and they were very vocal. As the site got closer and closer to operating day, or to opening day, which was July 1st, 1986, the height was increased. It was in the paper every day. Opening day, they had pickets down the road. They used to meet once a month. They were always complaining about small things like paper on the road. I suppose it made a great deal of sense to them because they wanted to be on the forefront of every phase of the operation. However, it's not possible to allow the public to participate in it because you would have them walking here all the time. Not that you're going to hide anything, just that you can only listen to so many complaints. They meet now, I believe, it's once every 3 months, and they don't have very much to say at the meetings anymore. The things that they thought were major turned out weren't major items at all. Trucks without tarps, papers blowing around, secrets. We don't have any complaints anymore. Very seldom do we have a complaint. There's one gentleman driving around now making complaints. I think he's just retired and wants something to do. The complaints are unfounded. And generally, we're pretty well accepted in the neighborhood. Property hasn't gone down in value here. We take extra care on, especially on the County Road 46. Anything falls off a truck, it's picked up immediately. You have to maintain that kind of system. If you didn't, then the people would have grounds to complain. What you say, we just do our job the way it's supposed to be, and we never have any heartache with anybody anymore.
You started talking about the costs, and I'm thinking back to whenever you bought this property.
Mm-hmm.
You'd buy the property at fair market value?
This was around $200,000, yes.
That'd be fair market value.
At that time, yes.
Your neighbors, your immediate neighbors around, were they compensated in any way for having to live beside a landfill site?
No.
Well, the experience that the neighbors have had here hurt you if you want to put another landfill site someplace else in Oxford County? Or do you think the way the neighbors have found living next door will make it easier for you to site another landfill site?
Well, I think it would be easier to site another landfill now. I really do. At the time that we were starting, this opposition to dumps was so great. It was so great. And now, when they see what they've got here, like this place is mistaken for a park a lot of times. Constructed under environmental guidelines, which are going to be different when you fellas start. We have a deep bed of clay. The whole area here is clay. We have a leachate collection system around the perimeter of it to collect the leachate. It all drains down, and eventually it will drain down into a lower area and be pumped either directly into Ingersoll, or we will truck it away. Landfill, we do it in stages. We got cell 1, cell 2, and cell 3. We landfill and we cover every day. It's just like to us, it's quite simple now how it's supposed to be done. The other landfills we had in the area before, they filled haphazardly wherever they had an ocean to fill. It was never run as a business. This is run as a business, not as a money-making business certainly, but it's run as a business. We have a definite goal in mind where we're operating. Leachate's a bad word for a landfill operator. There is leachate out there, but it's contained. Like this is a big bowl we're sitting in, and if you took a clay bowl and a mound of clay and hollowed it out, this is a clay bowl here. This clay field is about 80 feet thick. And the water, the clay is trapped right in there. It's not like all steep. We have monitoring wells on each side of the site. I think with the ones that we showed you on the plan, which is 3 there, there are about 32 others. We monitor them every 2 months. The outlying farms have monitor wells on also that the Ministry of Environment checks. It's just to track surface migration water or leachate, anything entering the water stream. Methane is vented up through the silos around the site. When we put the leachate system in, we built silos coming up so we could clean the pipes. That also acts as a vent for methane. The only time we have an odor problem is if we're working on an older area and it's been wet and we churn up the garbage underneath. That's the only odor we have.
But once you get that sealed off with your cover coat,
It's gone.
it's gone.
You like very subtle smell anything here anyways. You may get the odd whiff of methane gas, that's all. We've got 2 compactors, 2 816 compactors. We've got a 936 loader with Packer wheels. We've got our own D7 with a scraper. We have a security guard and 2 operators back at the back, and I use 1 man generally as just a float man to pick up papers and clean up. Things are tough in town right now, so I've got 2 men out here. I take care of the buildings, what's that do, so I can swing my men back and forth as I see fit. So a total of 5 men here, and the machinery.
And what role does the Ministry of the Environment play as far as monitoring the operation of this landfill?
They're in here once every week, sometimes twice a week. Sometimes they'll skip a week, but they're in here regularly.
And what do they look for?
Just the operation, just the basic operation of it.
I mean, to make sure that the
Garbage is buried, that we're not accepting anything undesirable that we're not licensed to. Certainly hazardous waste we can't accept. We won't accept, we don't accept. Hazardous waste, liquid waste we don't take. That's what they look for. If you've got mostly domestic garbage, like domestic garbage is so much easier to handle. Like it really is. These guys just love seeing the garbage packers come in. They just love it because it compacts so good, and you can handle it so easy. You won't have the paper going around that we have. We have boxes here that they say they're recycling in the plants, and you dump the box, and it looks like an army running across the field, and you shudder, because somebody's got to go and pick them all up. With domestic garbage, you never have that, because once it comes out of that garbage compactor, it's wet. It's in bags for So I wish mine was all domestic garbage. I'd be so happy.
Maybe.
I don't think there's any way to improve on the operation as we're doing it right now. Certainly separating more garbage, more like taking out the stuff that doesn't have to be buried. Like I would dare say sometimes 20% of our garbage is wood products, wood and cardboard. It's a big thing here, and that takes up a lot of room. I would like to see something done with those. Tires, we get 22,000 tires last year. It's not a big amount of tires yet, it is substantial. I would like to see those shredded, even if I had to bury them with the garbage. I know that's a terrible word, but I don't see anything else to do with them.
So the site itself could be improved by some public awareness and input on reusing and reducing.
Restricting.
And restricting.
What's the problem with tires if they're not shredded?
They take up too much room in your landfill. Even though we compact constantly, we take tires 25 at a time. Any individual in Oxford County can bring us 25 tires every day. Not 25 tires every trip. Once a day he can bring me 25 tires. If you take in 25 tires and he unloads them here and the compactor pushes them aside and runs over them, you put one tire on top of the other and then you put garbage on top of that, as soon as the machine leaves, they come back up again just a little bit. So you've got a void there which is equal to maybe 20% of the actual amount that the tire should occupy. That's nothing but air. This is what happens to tires. If they were cut in half or shredded, you wouldn't have that.
Is there ever problems with whole tires floating to the top of the landfill site?
Pretty tough to get through this clay in here. We haven't had any yet. We've got 8 acres under grass now and there's no tires coming up on that.
You think at the landfill site itself, which allows the garbage trucks or people coming in to take things that they consider to be reusable and put it in a dumpster?
We take steel and we take used oil when they bring it in on us. That's one other. We're not even supposed to take, we're not supposed to have any liquid at all on the site. But we found that if we turn people away that brought in 2 or 3 gallons of oil, we'd find it down the road the next day. So we set a drum up down there. We do take used oil now. We don't have a permit for it, but we do it. It's just one thing you learn to do because it's better here than we don't allow, because of the scope of the operation we run here, we don't have recycling areas where we can say you put your steel here and your wood there and your cardboard here. No, we don't have anything like that. If there's large amounts of steel, yes, we do take it out. We ask them to throw it out. That's if we see it on the truck. Once it gets beyond there, it's gone. It's buried. Because I just don't have room for it the way I'm set up right now. There are plans to institute tipping fees or land user fees sometime in 1992. The only thing I have against tipping fees, I think they're too large. They don't reflect the actual cost of landfilling or land acquisition. What tipping fees, in my estimation, are based on, they're used to pay for the blue box system, and they're used to put roofs on libraries. They're not directly related, right? Like the cost doesn't go right back into landfill, and it should. And if it did, then you wouldn't have any need for gouging the public with high tipping fees. It doesn't cost $60 a ton to bury garbage. It doesn't. I know it doesn't. We have a 100% pickup collection rate in Oxford County, so there's no need for anybody to be individually charged except the industry.
If you were able to give advice to Dufferin County as it heads into this business of establishing and operating a landfill site, what would you say we should watch out for?
If any individual, corporation, or community was going to set up a landfill site and run it the same as we do here at Salford, I couldn't give them any other advice than tell them, look here and see what we're doing, because to me this is it, except for the recycling bit.
Positive impressions of the landfill site. What are your negative impressions of the landfill site? Comment briefly on those points you feel need further explanation. Comment on items that trouble you most about the construction of a landfill site in Dufferin County. Knowing that there is to be a landfill site in Dufferin County, how would you like to see it operated? Explain your top concerns.